All of this with retired Army Major Mike Lyons. Thank you for sharing part of your holiday week with us. So let's begin with CNN's reporting on this Russian drone factory. You heard Claire really lay it out. How significant is Russia's strategic shift to this technology in your view?
Hi, Pamela. Happy holidays. Yeah, I do believe it's very strategic, and I think this is all part of this 2025 strategy that they have in order to increase their drone capability. As they recognize that they have an advantage here, they bring in workers from China and from Africa and the like, parts from China as well, using Iranian-based designs here. And making those decoys is just as important as making the actual Shahed drones there that they use to fly. And so they can quickly overwhelm the Ukraine air defense platform. So these are kamikaze drones. They fly in one direction only. They fly just to kill. They're not used to return or anything like back to Russia. So I think this is part of a ramp up that you're going to see Russia do in 2025 when it comes to trying to get some kind of technology advantage over Ukraine. And the only way that Ukraine really will be able to defend is if Western countries continue to pour in the air defense platforms, both anti-ballistic missiles as well as some of the small arms, because you could take some of these drones out with some of the small arms once they get into close range.
Do you think this drone factory is a likely military target for Ukraine?
So it's very deep inside of Russia, 600 miles from Moscow to the east. I think that it would be too difficult for Ukraine to hit. It would require a mission if they decided to use, let's say, their air platforms. They would have to go very deep into Russia. That would likely be a suicide mission one way. I don't think that they're capable of hitting it, and I think that's why Russia put it in this place. It's an area that it had been for economic advancement inside of Russia, whatever that means, but it's well outside kind of prying eyes of Western satellites and the like. You could see some of the satellite shots that were got there. They're hard to get. So I think that's really why they put it there. It's really not a military target, something that Ukraine could hit.
All right, so let's turn to this passenger plane crash in Kazakhstan. State media, as I said earlier, in Azerbaijan, where this flight originated, is reporting that the preliminary investigation finds, quote, physical and technical interference caused the disaster. Do you believe the evidence is stacking up that Russia's military is to blame here?
Pamela, no question. I look at the duck rule, right? It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. The forensic evidence of bullet holes on the side of airline fuselage means something happened, something hit that. And given the fog of war that likely takes place any time anything enters Russian airspace, that was a plane designed to go into, it was going into Grozny there, it was going into Russia. There was clearly a mistake made on the ground. Not allowing that plane to land inside of Russia is also unforgivable from an air traffic controller perspective. They clearly wanted it outside of Russia. They didn't want any evidence there. But now those black boxes are inside of Kazakhstan, and those authorities will have them. So I do think that will show that the pilots will say that they were hit with something that came out of nowhere. Likely air defense systems, and the pilots miraculously were able to save some of the passengers there. But clearly, what a disaster it was, and something that the rest of the world, if needs to get in the game here. Of Russia have done this before, and clearly the airspace of Russia right now is a very dangerous place.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but we're showing video of holes
Right.
on the plane. What do you think that is, and how do you hold Russia accountable for this if it is to blame?
Well, they'll have to look inside the fuselage of the plane, find some remnants of some of those weapon systems. If those are like ballistic air defense platforms that could have shot that down, not necessarily a missile, so to speak, that would have likely destroyed the plane entirely, like we saw was shot down over back in 2014 when they fired over Ukraine back then. But there's other ways that these airlines can be shot down based on ballistic missiles, and from the size of those are large air defense systems that Russia has that as the plane was flying very low, let's say 2,500 feet or 2,000 feet, as it was ready to land, it was a very short flight. Likely within line of sight. So they're going to have to do some investigating inside the fuselage to find remnants of some of the bullets that were fired. And if they do, then it's more proof on Russia.
All right, Major Mike Lyons, thank you. Happy holidays again. Happy New Year. All the above.
Thanks, Pamela. Thanks for having me.